You and I are so passionate about mentorship. And to start that journey, I think the biggest question I get is, how do you position yourself as a mentee? So thinking back in your career and maybe the transition when you were starting your internship at Google, how did you start positioning yourself to find mentors?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I wasn't a great mentee to begin with. Becoming a better mentee took years, right? Those who are starting out their career, you should get mentors. You should talk to them. You should build relationships. You should be super proactive about it. Now, that's what I didn't do. But if I were to do it again, what I would do is find mentors that can actually, I'm going to want to help them help me.
Right.
So that's something that a lot of early stage mentees don't do. They think, for example, that find a mentor, the mentor will spend all their time and energy trying to figure out how to solve all your problems. The problems will go away. Someone will, serve on a platter. This is the recipe for success. I'll just follow that. Especially because, a lot of people early in their career were students just before that. So in school, they're just going through syllabus, going to curriculum, going through course after course, and then expecting that that's all they have to do. Someone will give me a homework, I'll do the homework, I'll get better. The mentorship at work is quite different. You don't really have people serving you anything on a platter. The first thing a lot of mentors will ask you is, what do you need from me? And then a lot of people turn up blank, like they just don't know what to say.
That is such an insightful observation. And I remember that from our first conversation, is that you observe and watch a lot of little details, which I really enjoy. And you're right, as we transition from university, we're programmed to go to professors for help, to go to the teaching assistants for help, and we're just on the curriculum. But when you're thinking about mentorship, you're going with a very specific ask. You want to be asking a specific question to solve a problem. And I like what you said at the beginning is, if you can understand how to help your mentor help you faster, solve your problem, that will start generating momentum. And one of the things that I have found with mentors is that when they are able to solve your problems in a quick cadence, help you move forward faster, and they see you being very proactive in your responses, that momentum generates that nucleus that I think starts deepening the relationship.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's one part of that recipe of helping your mentor help you, by creating a sort of energy around yourself. Hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. The mentor may not have been ready for that sort of energy. But when you start being super energetic, here's my ambition. I had someone who was asking me, this is the beginning of my career. I just want to be the best in the world. That's how they started their conversation with me. And I was like, that really influenced me. So if I was back to my early days of being a mentee, I would be like, this is what I want to do with my life. What can you do for me? But having said that, there's a big difference, because we're talking about university life and then work life and then being a mentee. A big difference between university and mentees. A lot of time when you find a mentor in your company, they're not getting paid for it. Whereas your professor, a bit of a financial incentive to do a good job with their thing. A mentor has much more limited incentive to do a good job of being a mentor. So that's why that relationship becomes much more of a shared responsibility.
It really does. And I'm glad that you went down that road, because when you think about being a good mentee, there's a lot of value that you can bring to a mentor. And I was actually thinking about this on the drive over here, is that one of the ways that I would always help my mentors when I was younger is just check in on them. And I know you're passionate about this too, is sometimes it's just empathy. How are you doing? Is everything going okay? Is there something that you have that I can help you with? Do you think, when you are a mentee and you're trying to lean into your mentor and you're trying to ask for help, there's a great opportunity there to start adding value to them. That doesn't always come at first, but look for those little opportunities, because again, if you're bringing energy, if you're coming with clarity of this problem that you want them to solve, and then you're able to start helping them in some way. Maybe it's just feeling better about the day. Maybe they're not having a great day at work and you're able to be the person who is that empathetic ear. Some of those small things add up to creating this momentum.
Yeah. Yep, and in fact, I think you meant to talk about the mentor asking the mentee, how are you doing? I would even turn it around, and the mentee should also start to be concerned about the mentor. Hey, how was your day?
No,
Maybe that's what you're
I was talking about.
Okay,
No,
great.
No, because I mean, one of the things, and this is where I guess we have to skip ahead in the conversation.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do today that I keep in touch with my mentors is I realize now, because we're all, a lot of us are dads, or we're deeper in our careers.
Yep.
To keep in touch with my mentors today, I call and just check in on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I will just, I call it health checks. Like, how are you doing? Like, I'm here,
That's
like, let's just
amazing.
have a fun, maybe outside of work conversation. And actually, maybe that is something of value that I realized right away is I'm just curious, and this is why I love being a podcast host, because I get to know a lot of different people and ask lots of questions about them. But I can easily understand what somebody enjoys and just ask questions. Oh, did you cook that meal that you wanted to cook? Or did you go to Tahoe and do your skiing? And just have a moment with my mentor to get them out of that headspace. That was one of the ways I realized that would start building momentum with my mentors when I was younger, is just, helping them, have a nice day.
Yep, and I think that is something that sort of, it reminds me that very few times have I, as a mentee, asked my mentor, how are you doing? And very few times as a mentor, I have been asked the same, because I think that relationship tends to be a lot more like one directional. What can I do for you doesn't come naturally, because we don't ask this to our professors. When we are kids, we don't ask enough of that question to our parents. Whenever there's a hierarchy, we expect there is a one directional relationship. And so I think because the incentives are not that aligned in the mentor-mentee relationships, you have to do a little bit differently.
Definitely.
That's because then a lot of times they're just doing it because they want to help you out. You have to do something to make them feel valued, and this is one way to feel valued, right?
100%. And I do think that as you're moving from university and you are in industry and you're working, to create momentum in mentee-mentor relationships, look for ways that you can lean into them. Look for ways that you can make it bi-directional. You may not always find it at first, but I think that those ways are there. Now, I think one of the other aspects of being a good mentee is looking and identifying mentors. So what's some of the criteria that's important for you?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and it's something that's on top of a lot of people's minds. Like, every hour that you spend with the wrong mentor, you're both wasting time. How do you sort of optimize the mentor-mentee time that you have in both directions? So my general, especially this is career mentoring.
Yes.
Study the career trajectory of the person you're targeting to be your mentor.
Yes.
Do you like where they went from where they are now? Do you like how they led their life as best as you can from their LinkedIn or from their resume or from their website or portfolio, whatever it is that you're looking? Is this someone you idolize? And there could also be some specialty reasons to pick a mentor, which is, let's say a person made a very specific career switch. Even though the rest of their life and career is quite different from yours, a very specific, like a classic one I've been seeing a lot is they're moving from infrastructure or product engineering to AI, because AI is so big these days.
Right.
Everyone's like, how do I pivot to that? So they would look at some of our profiles and think, hey, you made the pivot. Usually, if they tell me that, I usually say, no, I did not make a pivot. I was always an AI person from undergrad or even earlier, as I was like tweaking, playing around with this stuff. But there are others for whom that switch happened and it looks successful in terms of their career path. So that's one special reason. But if you want to have a more long-term mentor-mentee relationship, pick someone for whom there's more in common, not just that one career switch. Like, oh, they took a career break, they became financially independent. Like, I would idolize you, as someone someday I want to be financially independent and not have to work. I hope my bosses are not listening. But it's a great. Looking at your personal success story. If that's something that appeals to me. By the way, financial independence. I hear that all the time. Everyone wants financial independence. They don't know how to get there, so they look for mentors who have been there. So even you are a great example of a mentor for someone who's looking for.
Well, and I think it reminds me of that old adage. As we're talking, they talk about friends. You're friends for a reason. You're friends for a season. season or your friends for life. And I found the same thing with mentors as well, right? There is that reason, and I also think that there is sometimes a season. Maybe you're at a company and you're working together at a company during that period of time. And then there are those special mentor relationships where you know you're going to be talking to them, and sometimes you don't talk for a year or so, and then you touch base with them and it's just you pick up where you left off, and those are super, super valuable.